Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the rise and fall of Bellator MMA, lasting almost 20 years. There's a lot of history in the promotion, so let's get into it. So Bellator was founded in 2008 by this man right here, Bjorn Rebney. He is the original founder and owner of Bellator with Brad Epstein, and originally they did start out as a tournament format, so it was a different model from the UFC and kind of a chance for them to differentiate themselves and began as a promotion. So let's hear a little bit of how Bjorn Rebney started in fight sports, and then just get into a background of how the early seasons went and early part of Bellator.
Forming a boxing promotion company in partnership with Sugar Ray Leonard, promoting and producing a very successful program on ESPN2 for 4 straight years, which was the highest rated program on the network, called Sugar Ray Leonard Presents Friday Night Fights. I was always a mixed martial arts fan, and my business was boxing. I would pay to go see UFC events. I would watch you. I would buy the pay-per-views. I would bring the old VHS tapes in from Pride from Japan. I would do all of those things, and that's what I enjoyed to do. And my business was business of boxing. I got very fortunate when my boxing company ended. I got the chance to put some time and energy and money into trying to make what I enjoyed into a career. And here we are.
So what was the moment that first got you hooked into mixed martial arts?
I had the pleasure of spending some time with Hickson Racing many years ago in Southern California, many years ago. And I think that the thing that first got me hooked was just the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in terms of its ability to have really kind of a game of chess going on the ground, and that a little man could beat a big man, and that there was a monsterful technical aspect to the game that you don't typically see in boxing. And then as the maturation of MMA happened, and as it became less and less about tough guys, it became more and more about a really true, well-rounded mixed martial artist who could grapple and could strike and was a relatively good judo player and could fight on the ground and could, all of the different aspects coming together. It's just, there's always a technical evolution, and there's always a strength and speed evolution. And I think when you look at sports, you look at football, what do we love? We love the big hit. In basketball, what do we love? We love the slam dunk. In baseball, we love a home run. Mixed martial arts gives you all of that speed and power and athleticism and guts all in one well-rounded kind of soup. And I mean, it's just, it's the same reason that 18 to 34-year-old males go bananas over this game and why the ratings are so high, because it is a consummate, most basic sport, and yet it is constantly evolving from a technological perspective. I just think it's the greatest sport in the world.
And so with that, we're off. The first Bellator event took place April 3rd, 2009. It was in Uncasville, Connecticut. It was at the Mohegan Sun, which is a familiar place for Bellator going forward. They have a ton of events there. And there was some big names on the card. The co-main event, Eddie Alvarez fought, and the main event, George Masvidal fought. And here is how that fight went down.
26 fights, so not a guy who falls victim to the KO or the TKO easily.
Not at all.
Punches while Aguilar is covering up. Jay, this could be over. This is very Troy Wilder really quick. Aguilar needs to do. Oh, it's over. That's over. No.
And the next big event we're going to talk about is Bellator 12, because Bellator 12, it created two of the first big stars for Bellator, and that was Eddie Alvarez and Hector Lombard. So Eddie Alvarez, he was in the lightweight tournament, and this is how that ended for him.
He has the judo credentials. Oh! The judo hit Eddie Alvarez. He might have hit the canvas. And his chin will be tested here. Alvarez into the full mount. He might have hold on, trying to survive. But what has gone to the second round for Eddie Alvarez?
Yeah, he threw up a big right hand that just floored him out of it. Man, I don't think Imada even realized where he was for a few seconds. And he hopped in about not on the back of the jiu-jitsu specialist. This could be an impressive win here if the striker wins 3 in Bellator via submission, especially against a guy who's a black belt.
Buscando sus pistolas, sigue atacando. Y ahora, pues la sangre le está cubriendo el ojo izquierdo. Y Héctor Lombard ahora utilizando los codos. Conectando uno
sigue siendo agresivo y le está dando la oportunidad en esta posición. Sigue presionando, pero es que ahora sí el Sagrado es muy fuerte. Ahí está, tiempo. Es que hagan lo que hagan en la esquina de Jared, es imposible detener este Sagrado. Impresionante la cortada. Y no sé si lo van a dejar que siga. Ahorita se ve que está sacando mucho, se le abrió otra cortada. ¡Se acabó! ¡Detienen el combate! Tenemos un cuarto round.
So season 1, I would say, was a success for Bellator. It did what it needed to do. It crowned some new champions for them, it put them on the map, and it gave them a couple big stars like Eddie Alvarez, Hector Lombard. Shout out to Joe Soto and Lyman Good for winning their tournaments as well. And season 2 was also a really good tournament for Bellator. They had other new stars emerge, like
Toby Amata fighting like a veteran, not letting the cut bother him, but at the end of the third round, decision for Pat Curran, and he wins the lightweight championship.
Victory for Pat Curran in the biggest fight of his
Dominating and controlling for a 15-minute fight. Beautiful job really from top to bottom for Ben Askren. If you're watching this, good training, he's got to be motivated because, man, this is going to be a tough fight.
He won by split decision. Beautiful job by
Joe Warren, Bellator season number 2 featherweight tournament champion as he defeats Patrick.
As we say, intelligent to defend himself. He stops the fight. Beautiful TKO victory by Alexander A Storm Flamenco. He takes the season 2 middleweight tournament.
And out of the first 3 years, first 3 tournaments, I would say season 3 was the weakest, but we had Cole Conrad crowned as the heavyweight champion. If you know, you know. Cole Conrad's kind of a big what if in MMA. We had Zoila Fausto Gorgel become the women's champion for Bellator, so congrats to her for that achievement. And then Zach Makovsky also won the season 3 tournament. And with moving to MTV, you knew they had to come with some good fights, and they did, man. This season 4 was one of the biggest seasons in the history of Bellator because they had 2 of their biggest stars become Bellator champions for the first time, and that's Patricio Pitbull and Michael Chandler.
We'll go to your judges' scorecards. Judge Jordan Bass scores it 29-28, while judges Joe Ancona and Mark LeBlanc both see the fight 30-27. All for the winner by unanimous decision now. The season 4 Bellator featherweight tournament champion, Patricio Pitbull.
On top of that, we had Jay Heron win his season, which set up a big fight between Jay Heron and Ben Askren in the future. And at that time, Jay Heron was a Strikeforce veteran. He had fought in the UFC, and he was known as one of the best fighters in that weight class in the world. So that was a big one for Bellator. And Christian Mapumba was also the winner for his season. So that kind of ended the first early years of Bellator. The next portion we're going to talk about is the next venture for Bellator, which is the Viacom Era.
And welcome back to Forbes Sports Money. Well, we've been covering the emerging sport of mixed martial arts for a few years now and profiled some of the businesses who have done quite well in MMA. But there have, in fact, been far more failures. The fight game is very hard to break into and even harder to stay afloat in. And that's what makes the story of Bellator Fighting Championships so impressive. The tournament-styled company launched in 2008 and is currently the second largest MMA promotion in the U.S. after the Ultimate Fighting Championship. But Bellator had to claw its way into that position. When the fights began in 2009, they were only aired on the Spanish-language version of ESPN. In 2010, their fights made it into English-speaking homes through Fox Sports Net. By 2011, much to many people's surprise, Bellator was airing fights on MTV2. And by the end of that year, MTV's parent company, Viacom, bought a majority stake in Bellator. This heavyweight deal will put Bellator fights on Spike TV in 2013 and has set the company up for international expansion. The visionary behind Bellator's rise is Bjorn Rebney, a former boxing promoter turned MMA entrepreneur. And Michael Ozanian sat down with Rebney at the Forbes offices to discuss the fight game in our Sports Money profile.
How important was it for Bellator to bring in Viacom as a partner late last year?
Oh, it was incredibly important. I mean, you talk about Viacom, you talk about reaching 600 million consumers around the world, you talk about MTV and Comedy Central and Nickelodeon and Spike Network and Paramount Pictures.
Over the next 4 to 5 years?
Oh, it's enormous. Bellator Fighting Championships 3 years ago was a brand new company on a 6 million home universe, Spanish language, is now partnered with Viacom, one of the largest, most powerful entertainment companies in the world, and is growing at an exponential rate. I think the opportunity for this sport internationally is enormous.
And after this, we are going to skip to the first Bellator event on Spike TV. But Season 5, it did produce a couple big moments because we had Douglas Lima become a Bellator champion. He got a knockout over Ben Saunders that we're going to watch in just a minute. And then we had this fight right here, which is arguably the biggest and best fight in the history of Bellator. Michael Chandler versus Eddie Alvarez. This fight was not a tournament fight, but it was two former tournament winners fighting for the Bellator title, and let's see how it played out.
Let's touch gloves, let's get ready, rock and roll.
Weight World Championship, the bell in round number 1.
How much time will Eddie spend on the feet? That's an important part of this fight. Good left hand.
Chandler is in the black trunks, then Chandler
he got him
in the white trunks.
He hurt him back.
He's letting go. Alvarez in all sorts of trouble trying to hold on.
Oh, good right hand by Eddie.
Troy Wall was seconds away from stopping this fight in favor of Chandler.
Eddie could still be rocked. Remember, Eddie gets rocked in every
seconds of round number 1. An amazing round number 1.
Dropped him again.
Right hand by Chandler, looking to finish before the bell. Chandler pops his head free. Both fighters so sweaty right now, Jimmy. It's tough to get a standing guillotine in those gloves, as you know.
Chandler looked down. I don't know if there was some kind of problem there.
Alvarez trying to let the hands go. Chandler pulls away on his bicycle.
Eddie's turning it on now.
Alvarez trying to let go with the
Another good right hand. He could be looking for the finish here, Sean.
Stalking mode now. Chandler trying to fire back. Big shots from the champion. To the body now for Eddie Alvarez. Uppercut. Straight left hand by Alvarez. Here comes round number 4, scheduled for 5 of this Bellator lightweight world title fight. Michael Chandler.
Oh, another big right hand. He's hurt. He's hurt badly.
Chandler now pouncing. Belly passes. Beautiful pass now into mount for Michael Chandler.
Eddie has great recovery, but he's mounted right now. Now giving up his back.
Chandler,
that's it.
There's the tap, and we have a new champion. Michael Chandler is Bellator's new lightweight world champion. Moment comes from the Season 5 welterweight tournament championship. Douglas Lima versus Ben Saunders.
Oh, good right hand.
Big right hands there.
That's it.
That is it. There's the stoppage, and the Season 5 welterweight tournament championship goes to Douglas Lima just like that.
Entire fight was not even close. Every round was in the realm of Ben Askren. That's on top using his wrestling. His dominance on top continues. He wins a lopsided, unanimous decision.
So the first Bellator to air on Spike TV was Bellator 85.
MMA fan, their weekend starts a day early starting this Thursday as Bellator moves over to Spike TV with their first card. This is a big one for Bellator. Obviously, Spike putting all of their promotional muscle behind Bellator here as their new mixed martial arts brand, and pairing this here with Impact Wrestling, which is their highest rated programming on Spike TV with a 10 p.m. Eastern start time.
MMA, the toughest tournament in sports, live on Spike every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. From the Brett Event Center in Irvine, California, it's the Bellator Season 8 opener. Let's get right to it with the fight for the Bellator Featherweight World Championship. Patricio Pitbull versus the champion, Pat Curran.
We thought this fight would be decided on the feet, and we were right. It was all about the boxing of these two fighters. Patricio Pitbull coming in, throwing big bombs, but Pat Curran answering with straight punches right down the center. Nice, tight combinations. And another thing, having been in deep water before, he got stronger as this 5-round fight went further and further, and it was the champ, Pat Curran, taking a split decision victory to retain the title.
Next up, a light heavyweight tournament quarterfinal round fight. Mihail Zayats versus the MMA legend, Babalu Sabral.
You see here the spinning back fist by Mihail Zayats. That was the beginning of the end for Babalu. You see here finishing up with some ground and pound. Big John McCarthy saw enough at that point. Aggression from Mihail Zayats and great finishing instincts. He gets a big upset victory in Babalu's hometown, Southern California, and moves on to the semifinals.
And there you see, with that upset victory, confirmation that Mihail Zayats advances to the light heavyweight tournament Final Four. Our second world title fight of the evening, this for the lightweight title of Bellator, Rick Hahn versus the undefeated champion, Michael Chandler.
And the ease of the takedown, that was the story in this fight. Michael Chandler picking up and throwing down the judo Olympian Rick Hahn. Physically dominant, aggressive from the outset, keeping Rick Hahn on the defensive. But it was here, taking his back, both hooks in, that he sunk the rear naked choke. Look at the hip pressure of Michael Chandler. That was the end for Rick Hahn.
A steamroller victory for Michael Chandler as he retains the title with a second round submission victory. Back then to the light heavyweight tournament quarterfinals, Jacob Noe versus Seth Petruzzelli.
Petruzzelli trying for the takedown against Jacob Noe. Some strikes were exchanged throughout, but here his knee went out on this takedown attempt. Jacob Noe spinning around perfectly, getting good position and unloading on top. You see here, furious left hands. Referee gave Seth Petruzzelli plenty of chances to get back in it, but he was out in this fight. A TKO victory for Jacob Noe.
He called it the biggest fight of his life, and Jacob Noe takes full advantage, advancing to the semifinals. And we conclude with a light heavyweight tournament quarterfinal round fight, Atanas Jambazov versus Emmanuel Newton.
Jambazov starting off strong in the opening round, coming forward with power punches. Emmanuel Newton playing the counter striker, landed some good right hands, but just too much energy expended in that first round by Jambazov, and that's when Emmanuel Newton turned it on. You see here taking the back, rear naked choke. He gets another rear naked choke victory. Great submission by Emmanuel Newton.
So 3 places this evening have been filled in the light heavyweight tournament Final Four. Mihail Zayats, Jacob Noe, and Emmanuel Newton. For the latest Bellator news and information, it's Bellator.com. Tomislav Mishala versus King Mo.
King Mo coming into this fight with so much hype, so much scrutiny. Would he focus under the pressure? Would he fold? And he focused. You see here a beautiful jab. That was the story in the opening round. Accurate, powerful. You see the blood on the face of Mishala. And then late in the first round, bam, a beautiful right hand to the chin. Referee had seen enough and waves off the fight.
A lot of head movement early from the champion Michael Chandler. Snapping that jab. Counter left, good right. Is dropped. Freckles it off.
That's it. And the main event of Bellator 100 produced an epic KO from Douglas Lima over Ben Saunders. So we're just going to watch that real quick, and then after we watch that, we're going to talk about the biggest stars of the first 100 Bellators.
MMA live on Spike. Saunders dropped. Lima could not finish. That's over. That is it.
And to me, the biggest stars through the first 100 Bellators, first one we're going to talk about is Pat Curran. Pat Curran was the Bellator lightweight tournament champion, the Bellator featherweight tournament champion. He actually is the only person in the first 100 Bellators to be a 2-division tournament champion, and he became the official Bellator featherweight champion. He was 9-1 during that first 100 Bellators. Next, we have Eddie Alvarez. Eddie Alvarez, Bellator lightweight tournament winner. He was the Bellator lightweight champion, the first one ever, and he had an 8-1 record for Bellator during those first 100 events. Next, we have Michael Chandler, Bellator lightweight tournament winner, Bellator lightweight champion. He went undefeated 9-0 during the first 100 Bellator events. And next one, we have Patricio Pitbull. He was the featherweight tournament winner and a 7-2 record in Bellator during that time. He did not claim an official title for Bellator. Ben Askren. Next one, we got Hector Lombard, He was the Bellator middleweight tournament winner, the original Bellator middleweight champion, and he went 8-0 during his time in Bellator. Ben Askren, Bellator welterweight tournament winner, Bellator welterweight champion, 9-0 in Bellator during that time. And then finally, we have Alexander Shlemenko, Bellator middleweight tournament winner, Bellator middleweight champion, and he went 9-1 with the promotion during the first 100 events. So to me, those are the biggest stars and best fighters for Bellator during the first 100 shows.